businesswoman, a go-getter, a big investor, a goal builder that could teach you to get richer like millions, baby. You really about to fill your savings. You about to have multiple streams to pass your children, baby. Let me teach you, get your credit on track in the long run. You'll make it all back at Catalyst and watch it all psychology black on firm, but we ain't all black.
Hey, it's your girl Constance. Have you heard that song before? 222, we got you. Well, let me tell you a little bit about it. I am Constance Carter, and I'm the CEO of Catalyst Real Estate Professionals. We are the largest African-American owned real estate firm in California. And the ladies of Catalyst, LOC, just put out this song. It's available on iTunes. We got a video on YouTube. It's pretty dope. It's pretty amazing. But we're talking about some good and positive things to help you to start building wealth. Because really, when I come to you every night, every day of the week, Monday through Friday, between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. or 6 p.m. Pacific and 9 p.m. Eastern, I am coming to talk to you about ways that you can enhance your life. My primary goal in life is to help us build our community through wealth building opportunities, through family. And tonight we're going to talk about something that I think is very important, which is really about protection. Protecting our family is so important. And there's a lot of things that are getting ready to come down the pipe. And unfortunately, the current administration has really brought out a lot of different thinking and ideologies that have been there, that have been kind of buried, but are coming to the surface. And a lot of things are getting ready to come out in 2021. And I wanted to have a conversation with you about it. And I want to get your input. But more importantly, I want to talk about protecting your families, especially our men. But before we get into the conversation, I need to do a little housekeeping, y'all. I want to make sure that you guys are, I'm taking off my shoes for this. I want to make sure you guys are tuning in and you are following and subscribing to Fly Nubian Queen. This is important because I want you to get our alerts every single night, especially when I'm talking to you between Monday and Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific and 9 p.m. Eastern. I want you to come on and I want you to converse with me because I'm talking about some things that are really powerful and going to change your life. We're going to talk about the 3%ers in a minute because they are a white supremacist militia group that are after your families, that are here to steal, kill, and destroy like the devil. They are here to attack the very basis of who you are. But I want you to go over to Fly Nubian Queen TV on YouTube, and I want to make sure that you subscribe there. And I want to make sure that you follow us on Facebook, on our Facebook page, as well as Nobody Works Harder Than Constance Carter. I want you to follow that page as well, because I'm on there giving you some game and dropping some nuggets all the time. And I want to make sure that you're following me on Instagram on I Am Constance Carter. All right. Tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, I will be doing some Q&A, some personal Q&As. Again, I am all about enhancing your life and creating your wealth. So I'll be doing Q&A. Look, I'm out here trying to get high enough so that I could really engage in a conversation with you. I'm going to be doing a Q&A on ConstanceCarterVIP.com. So make sure you go and you subscribe to Constance Carter VIP. Now let's do it. Let's get into the conversation. I have two gentlemen here that are going to talk to you about some of the alarming things that they've been hearing. And these are two very intellectual brothers that have their ear to the ground. Okay. So I want to talk to you. I want to talk to Charles Johnson and Brother Maurice Goins. And they are both community activists. They are out there and they're seeing the things that are going on in the streets and all the dog whistling that's been going on and how it's coming to fruition and what we can do to protect our families. But you got to know what's going on first. You got to know what's going on so that you can protect your people. So let's go. I need to know, everybody, where are you hailing from? Where are you tuning in from? I know that we have people on the East Coast and the West Coast and all the way across the pond in Europe. I know there's some folks in Australia. I know there's some people out in Africa that are tuning in. So let us know, kings and queens, where are you hailing from? All right. And make sure that if you want to get some of these alerts on Fly Nubian Queen, you text the words queens for all you melanated kings and queens to 31996. All right, let's go. All right, let's get on, Charles. Come and join me, brother.
Hey, how you doing?
We're gonna bring him on in a second. Looks like he walked away for a minute. But I see people coming in from Chicago, Houston, Hartford, Connecticut. Andrea says she's from the West Side, which is the best side. I see South Africa is on here. I see London in the UK. They are from all over the world tonight, Charles, and they want to hear about this because This is very important. Folks, listen, it is time to, well, we're going to talk about it. I want to get your opinion on what you think we should do to protect our families. Tell me what you know about the 3%ers, Charles.
Just from what I understand, they're a paramilitary militia group whose says that their aim primarily is to protect their rights against democratic or government, in essence. So a lot of different groups like the 3%ers have been popping up ever since this whole election thing had happened. And now you see just a lot more of it coming to fruition and a lot more people talking about it. Definitely a lot more people are arming up. You've seen it in a couple of different places all across the US where people have just kind of been moving in different ways and arming themselves and being very vocal and very present, and just doing a lot of different things in the communities, a lot of which and where we live at too.
Man, well, what are they doing? Why are they on here? Let's bring Brother Maurice on here too. What are they doing?
Well, you see them out in the communities with the guns and, you know, and with the bulletproof vest on and everything else, just trying to make a presence, really. And to me, what I really feel like it's a scare tactic.
So do you think they're really trying to start a race war?
Yes.
Yeah. When somebody tells you who they are, you need to believe them. Brother
Absolutely.
Maurice, what is your thoughts about these militia groups that are popping up all over the place? We can't hear you, Maurice.
He's muted.
You hear me now?
Yep.
Like the commercial. It's nothing new. This has been going on. Every couple of months, there'll be a new group that comes out under a different name. But this has been going on for the past 30, 40 years. These right-wing militia groups that claim to be patriots, that claim to be not willing to bow under any tyranny of U.S. government, but they're just a veil. They're a scapegoat for a real they call it RAHOA, racial holy war. So these people that are training for RAHOA, for a white Christian identity. Remember, Christian identity also is a big part of white supremacy. They're in the hills in Idaho and they're training. They've been training paramilitary attacks and whatnot. So this is nothing new. So we as a people, we need to get ready for this and really understand what's going on, because these people are coming now and they're closer than you think. They just had something in Lodi in the Galt area. They all came out full force. These are people that you see in Sprouts. These are people you see in Winco. You know what I mean? It's some co-workers.
Absolutely.
This is people that are your next door neighbors.
Correct.
That are smiling in your face.
Yeah.
That are arming themselves.
And what's really interesting, and I kind of want to bring to light a little bit, is that we have to remember that when the KKK first started, they started out in the same exact format. They started out as an anti-government fraternal organization, and then they erupted into what they have become and what we've known them to be throughout, the history of America, pretty much. So, for African Americans, I think it's very, very important that we pay attention, to history, because this is, like you said, this is definitely nothing new. We've seen it time and time again, but in addition to that, we know better now, right? So we can definitely do some things different. And my fear is that we'll start to see a lot more just inconspicuous things happening, especially probably in places where we didn't think that it would typically happen. You're starting to see some interesting things happen in California, which, for most people who live in California, especially around the Bay Area, you think that that's really, really bold. But like you said, you got these people up in the mountains and everywhere else, and they're really serious about this quote unquote protection of their rights and all these other things. And now, and they're operating in these silos that some of us don't even know about. Like many of us haven't heard of the 3%ers, which is, I'm assuming it's a fairly new group. But nonetheless, they got a whole flag with the little 3 lines and the stars around it. They have a whole organized attack and plan at getting to their goal. And it's under the auspice of they're protecting their rights. And it's always under the auspice of protecting their rights. And so us as African Americans, we have to do a lot of different things differently. And I think especially for African American men, It's about, one, protecting our family units first, protecting our neighborhoods, protecting our women, and making sure that we do not get caught by surprise by these tactics.
Mm. So so for those, because some of us, some of our men have criminal histories, so what do you do, and how do you protect yourself and get a weapon if you have a criminal record?
It's going to be very hard.
Maurice, you ain't gonna touch it, Maurice.
I could touch it. I'm gonna touch on it.
Okay.
It's going to be very hard to get one legally. I say that.
Okay.
Because in the way that the criminal justice system is set up, it's set up for those type of situations, right? Where now, if you have a felony, especially in the state of California, I can't speak to any other states, but I know in California, they make it very, very difficult, almost impossible, if not impossible, for you to even have a gun on you, especially if you have anything related to guns prior or anything related to any type of drug trafficking or drugs. And you have to remember, what's interesting about today that wasn't true even 3 years ago is that marijuana today is not considered the same as it was back then. So you have to remember how we got dealt with regards to these instances of marijuana, or even these instances of small cocaine or we all know about the crack epidemic, so we don't have to say a whole lot about that, but definitely.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Maurice?
I want to just piggyback on what the brother said a little earlier about, knowing the history. History best rewards our research. We can look back in history and prove any point that we want to see and show even today. Like I was saying, these people are right here in our midst already. Just recently, I just seen on the news, in Oakland, they broke the Breonna Taylor statue in Oakland. Somebody did. It's a lot of stuff that's going on. Nashville, they just had that explosion. This is people getting people ready and their minds ready that this can be done. The same with the guy that blew up the thing in Oklahoma. He was showing the groups that this can be done, and this is how they can exercise and make their moves. So when you said about not being able to get a gun, the criminal justice system and the whole justice system was set up against us anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it wasn't in our favor, and it's not for us to work and get justice for us. So those of our men and women who may have felonies, misdemeanors, so what? If there's a will, there's a way. You want to protect your family. Self-preservation comes first. Don't let nobody tell you, you got this, and stand in the way of you protecting you and yours. Period. That's how I feel. So, do what you got to do. We do what we got to do on any other thing, but now we want to be law-abiding citizens. Nah, do what you got to do, protect your family.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting when you brought up the gentleman. I don't say the gentleman. You brought up the terrorist in Nashville that happened on Christmas Day, and you don't hear anybody in the news saying he's a terrorist. Just like Timothy said, you don't hear anybody talking about. So when you have a system that's designed to really single a certain group out, because you're a Muslim, right, Maurice?
The Nation of Islam. That's right.
NOI, right? But if you were to blow up that, if you were to do the same thing, what do you think would be the headlines?
Islamic terrorists, black nationalists did this. Mm-hmm. So when these other people, these Caucasians and these other people do this, they're going to start to talk like they're talking about this guy right now. They're talking PTSD. They're talking he was a good guy. The young man that did the shooting down south, he was a good kid. And they're very, very crafty with the language that they use. Just like that. You won't see any incriminating picture of some of these monsters on television. They'll always use their football picture, the picture from their graduation. They'll never show them with their shackles on and their orange jumpsuit. But when it comes to us, they're going to demonize us all the way.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Any person. And it's not just black people, but I mean, if you're Hispanic, if you're Muslim, if you're anything other than white, you will be demonized if something like that should happen.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, so we have to deal with that too, though, right? Because we have to stop allowing mainstream media to paint us in these negative images and these negative lights, and allow them to also then paint our counterparts in these positive lights, showing these positive images It's that same thing that we see over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And it messes with your psychology, not just from a perspective of you, them dealing with you, but also you dealing with them, and even you dealing with yourself, having to always see yourself painted in these pictures of, you remember back in the day when it was cops and all these other things, and how it really, really, just put these images and these negative thoughts about who we were and what we were, right in our face all the time. That was so wrong, and not just wrong, but just not true. For as many criminals as you have doctors, you have lawyers, you have entrepreneurs, you have great fathers. It's the same way as you have these so-called deadbeat fathers. You have all these wonderful mixes and everything else. So you can't just put somebody in a light and then say, oh, this is everybody. And that's what happens a lot of times with African Americans. And what doesn't happen with a lot of our counterparts, we get to see them in so many different lights, and we get to thinking these images about them that they're so great, and they're so nice and everything else. And it plays against us in a lot of ways.
Well, there's a Black militia group that it went viral a couple of months ago on social media, the NFAC, No Effing Around Coalition. They said they're not playing around. The NFAC, no effing around. And it takes a whole lot of discipline for people to gather, to organize, and do something like that. How do you suggest we kind of organize ourselves to combat what's going to happen?
Well, first and foremost, let me say that I'm definitely a fan of the NOI and their training and their discipline, their program. One of the first things I learned as a young man growing up was just about that, right? And I think what it does for you, it allows you to really begin to see, one, how to set yourself up properly for protecting yourself and protecting your community and protecting your environment, right? And making sure that no matter what, if this is where we place you at, this is where you need to be at. Mm-hmm. And making sure that we always keep a positive and safe and kind of a handle on what we have going on. So I think that those things are extremely important. I think we need more programs like that, that are teaching us how to deal with guns, that are teaching us how to even organize, and more importantly, how to not get infiltrated. That seems to be one of the ongoing themes, especially in the African American community. We allow a lot of different people into our mix, and everybody's not with the movement. I'm a fan of the Mau Mau's. So, these are the things that the Mau Mau's is a old African tribe that they didn't play those games. Let's put it like that. Them brothers, it was one of those systems where if you did anything against that group, or if you went outside of that group, or if you betrayed that group, that was your head. And I think that that's important sometimes in these circles, because you don't always know who to trust, and you have to put yourself in a position to where, hey, look, if this is the unit that I'm rocking with, this is what we got to do. This is what we're going to do. We're going to make sure that it gets done. And it was nothing negative, honestly. The Mau Mau's were a positive group, but at the same time too, they weren't about the betrayal. They weren't about you couldn't infiltrate them the way that you could in a lot of groups and a lot of circles today.
Now, Maurice, I know that you're a community activist. You're out there in the streets, front line. You work with a lot of offenders. You work with gangbangers. You work with Advanced Peace. Get kids into programs that are positive and pays them dividends so that they can stay out the streets, they can stay out of jail. What can we teach the youth, especially, about how we can gather and organize so that we can start protecting ourselves instead of shooting one another? What should we do?
I think that just to go back a little earlier in this conversation, these negative stereotypes and negative images that we have being perpetrated within the media of ourselves. Not only does that go out to white folks and all the other people that tend to believe that stuff, we as a people believe that stuff ourselves.
Yeah.
And sometimes we are worse enemy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know it's a picture floating around on the internet. It shows some brothers in some suits, and it shows some young brothers that sagging and throwing some gang signs. And it says, this is when they respected us, and this is when they don't respect us. Well, that's not true, because if you look at the lynching, all the people that were being lynched were in suits. You know what I mean? They were in suits. So we can't disregard, and there's a real disconnect with the young and old, with older people sitting there pointing their finger at the young and saying this is wrong, this is wrong. And to answer your question, we need to start to be an example to them. You need to take the time out and show them something. What I like about Stockton, every time I'm in Stockton, California, when I see other black people, man, they always speak to me. They say hello, no matter where I'm at. Whether it be somebody driving in a nice foreign car or somebody walking the street, they speak. And this is what we need to get back to. This is how we open up lines of communication. Dealing with the youth, we got to be an example. We got to tell them. Those of us that took a path that was not always the right path, we got to let sit the youth down and let them know this is what it got me. This is what you got in store for you. Continue to make these decisions like this. But I'm telling you, and I'm here to give you a message that you can come this way. And because this is what it got me, you can go this way with yourself. I think that it's just by example and having a weighty word and stop talking down to people and talking at people. You speak with people. You speak life into somebody. And that's what the youth really need right now.
Yeah. No, that's good. Go ahead.
And I think it has to definitely come from people that they respect, right? People that they will listen to. It's one thing to be someone like me who's never really had to deal with it, and me trying to come out there and talk to people. I can only go so far with you because I don't really have to deal. I haven't had to deal with the things that you had to deal with. So I don't necessarily have a path for you out.
Mm-hmm.
I have at a certain point, I can help you get to where you need to be. But, the hand holding in terms of some of the things that you're dealing with in those streets today, it's a lot different. I was one of those kids that when I was growing up, all the gangsters, they kept me out the streets. They told me, hey, boy, get your tail back, go back into the boys club or go back in the house or go back over here or go back over there. You don't belong out here. And I appreciate that. And them same cats today, man, I have so much respect for, because of just how they understood, they understood. One, I wasn't built like that. That just wasn't my lifestyle. I was into basketball. And so that was my thing. But I think when we have those people, it's interesting for me because those same people today, those same gangsters that were hardcore gangsters, I mean, cats I know that were really about it. They telling the same stories like, hey, man, it's not the way. It's not the way. And there's so many other different ways. And I think for us, the second part of that is economics, right? And we don't really talk about it, but we need to talk about it. The reality is a lot of the things that are happening, especially in the poor communities, is because of a lack of economics. Yeah. And so we now need to start to figure out ways, how can we devise plans that include that allows us to monetize things for ourselves and to keep money circulating within our own groups. I think that's going to be a very positive and it's going to be a very unique way of dealing with some of the issues that we have. If you could teach a kid how to make the same amount of money in a different light, even if you're doing like Forex trading or something like that, instead of going into the streets and selling drugs, and you can show him exactly how he can make the same amount of money with basically the same amount of effort, if not less, they'll probably choose that route.
Listen, Maurice had invited me over to when you worked at Fathers and Family. You remember that? You invited me over to speak at Fathers and Families. And I was talking to them about stock.
Right.
And you remember that brother that was sitting in the front row and he was just so intrigued. And he said, you mean to tell me I could make more money in the stock game than I can in shooting dice?
Right.
Yeah. Like it was like a light bulb had came off in his head. Remember that brother died. Remember he got shot a few months later.
Yeah.
But just to have those conversations, like you said, Charles, and being able to tell these kids that, listen, there is another route. Like, yeah, you can make money trading stock. Like my son, 16 years old, has his own stock group. He charges people $25 a month. He is showing people how to make money in the stock game. There are so many different things, if redirecting that energy to do something positive.
And what I appreciate about the rappers today, so we run in the same circles, believe it or not. We've actually sat at the same table together. I don't know if you remember or not, but it was a few months ago. Me and Constance came up there and we sat down and we talked.
Right.
But so we matter of fact, some of the people that are my mentors. Brother Nuri is one of my mentors. Very good brother Muhammad, Tommy Muhammad. So, that's one of the things that we did when we were at the Western Ranch High School in Stockton, California. We took a group of kids and we really gave them an opportunity to get exposed to something different, way out of their element. I'm talking about they had an opportunity to sleep on a submarine. We took them to San Francisco. We did a lot of different things with them. And I think only one of those kids out of the 30 kids that we had got into some trouble.
Mm.
You know, only one. And even then, it wasn't a lot of trouble. And he recognized what he did, and he's trying to get himself out and trying to do some different things. And I say that to say that once these kids get to see something different, and they get to see people that actually believe in them and that are willing to take some risk on them, they'll make those moves. They'll definitely make those moves.
Listen, access and proximity is the key to everything. Access and proximity. And I remember when we sat down with you, Brother Maurice, and you were saying that some people hadn't even been on the other side of town. Right. Some people hadn't even been to any place outside of McDonald's. When you took them over to a restaurant, they was like, well, how do I order from a menu? You know, and so that exposure to just the simple things is going to change the mindset of these kids. And that's what you're doing, right?
Sure. Yes, ma'am. We just try to give a different outlook. And it don't matter if you came from a background of being in the streets. You could be a scholar. They're just looking for somebody that genuinely cares for them and has concern for them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So a constant persuasion breaks down the strongest resistance. So we got to just keep hitting at them, keep getting at them, and just chipping that wall away at them until we get to them. And even if we don't get to them and we see a change right then and there, you planted a seed in them that might grow and come into fruition probably a year later, maybe a couple months later. You never know. But as long as you plant that seed. So what we do at Advanced Peace, we sit there and we get at these youngsters. Well, sometimes they're not all that young. Maybe they be in their late 20s, maybe early 30s. But we plant that seed. We let them know this is some of the stuff that you can do and try to open up a different world for them. Because when I was growing up, my life consisted on King Road, Mayberry, White Road, and Allen Rock. That little four corner block in my neighborhood. That's all my life consisted of, and that's all I knew about until I started to open my mind up and see other things. So what we do at Advanced Peace, we have transformative travel where we're going to take some of these youngsters and we're going to take them to DC. We're going to take them to New York so they can see something different. Because right now in Stockton and Sacramento and San Jose and Oakland, that's all they know, and they think it's no way out. So again, what you said, proximity and all that plays a very important part in that, in the development of our young people.
It is very, very difficult for you to become something that you've never seen.
Right.
It's very, 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 very difficult.
One more time. Put that in the comments box. It is very, very difficult to become something that you've never seen. And so we have to, it's important for us. We old heads now, right? We all 40 plus. Charles, you 40 yet?
Yep.
Okay. We all 40.
I'm in that group.
Okay. You in the group. You in the club. But for those youngsters, because they're the ones that are really going to be affected by it. And I always talk about this, and I'll never stop mentioning it. They say by the year 2053, our median wealth for our households is going to be a 0. And so we have to work to change the direction of where that's going. But holistically, we suffer in so many different areas. I know that, if you look on the scale of like education and economics and politics, everything that's good, we're on the bottom. But everything that's bad, we're on the top. And so then we have to start changing the narrative. And that's really by, look, Dr. Claude Anderson, Powernomics. What do we need to do in our communities to change the dynamic? But we definitely, going back, foundation is our family and arming ourselves. And so we got to teach youngsters, but we got to start doing, I've seen these memes on Facebook where you got these people in the backwoods, they training their kids with rifles and semi-automatic weapons. We ain't doing.
We can't be scared of that. We can't be scared to do that.
We're talking about turning the other cheek.
We can't be scared to do that. The most powerful thing that the Black Panther Party did was arm themselves for their community. And you realize, especially in the state of California, what they did more specifically was they made an intent to make sure that these brothers could not arm themselves the way that they were arming themselves any longer. Yeah. They were scared. Yeah. They were scared so much so that they had to literally change the laws.
Yeah.
So that's just the reality. And you might as well call it the Black Panther law, because that's exactly what happened during that time frame.
Real talk.
Well, listen, J. Edgar Hoover said the biggest when he was the director of the CIA or the FBI, he said the greatest threat to America.
The Black
you guys know that? The greatest threat to America was Black
Messiah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
If we unify, we are a powerful force.
Yeah.
We're a powerful, powerful force. And so systematically, even with the Black Panther Party, they say that's those are vigilantes. And when, they started the free lunch program and Head Start and all of those great things that they did, only thing that they're saying is about the negative stuff. And they systematically destroyed, put crack cocaine in our communities, and that did everything that they could to break that down so that we would not have that unity.
And I think we got to understand why, though, right? In order for a capitalist structure to really keep its consistency, you have to have a permanent working class, a permanent underclass. Mm-hmm. And for so long, we've been that permanent underclass. Part of the reason why they talk about the economic stability of African Americans in 2053 is because it's believed that Hispanics will then replace African Americans as that permanent underclass, which would push African Americans all the way out. Mm-hmm. That's part of the philosophy. Mm-hmm. And you see it play out a lot, especially in places like California, where there's not a lot of industry anymore, but there's a whole lot of agriculture, and everybody that's working in the fields is Hispanic. Mm-hmm. So what happens then when you have, when you don't have that industrial base anymore for African Americans? What happens when you don't have those job placements like that for African Americans anymore? Now they're going to push you out. They're not going to let you in. Mm-hmm. They're going to push you out. And the only way to sustain in that type of environment is to create your own. Mm-hmm. You have to create your own economic system, your own economic sources, and your own economic power. And once you begin to do that, then you can start to change the laws, you can start to change the rules, and you can start to change the economic situations for African Americans. Because you have to remember, I honestly believe that 80% of policy is money. He who has the most amount of money that can create the most amount of influence is the one who can then create the policy. Mm-hmm. And until we get to that place where we have influence, and we have stability in our economic systems, and we are a strong African American or Black unit, we are not going to be able to do a whole lot. We got to get to that place.
Mm. So, but imagine if there was unity, and just going back to what you said, Charles, there is a reason why they're making sure that we're not unified. It is economic, but it's also because there's so much power within our culture. There's so
Absolutely.
much power within our race. And what broke down Black Wall Street, what ended it permanently was not the bombings, but it was integration. It was the fact that we didn't have to unify to buy from one another, and that we were free to go and do other things. So when we fail to do stuff with one another, then it breaks down our unification and then our power. And then stuff like this could happen. But see, for me, I think, and I look at the glass half full all the time. I look at, a lot of people hate Donald Trump, and I'm not too fond of him myself, but I think he was the best thing that could have happened to Black people at this current time, because what it did is it opened so many people's eyes to what's really going on, so that we know we got to stop depending upon them. They don't care about you. They care about themselves. We got to stop looking to them to save us, because they are not coming to save you. We have to save ourselves. So if we don't open our eyes now, we never going to open our eyes. But now is the time for unification. These people are coming in because they mad that Trump ain't win a second term. So now they're going to try to start killing everybody and doing everything. We have to arm ourselves. Nobody's going to save you.
And when I think about arming myself, I think about arming myself physically, spiritually, mentally, and economically, right? It's a holistic army. It's having all the weapons, not just one, because just having the one will land you in a negative situation. If you got all the guns and you don't have any economic stability or any way to get to it, you're in a bad situation. Yeah. If you got all the economic stability, but you don't have no safety, you're in a bad situation. So it's got to be a lot of everything. It can't just be a one-trick pony anymore. Like, we have to really, really think about how we can move this system and this thing forward to get to a place where we need to be.
So what do we do? What is the solution? Because, I don't like to just talking about the problems. I like to talk about the solution. So what would you say, or at least 3 or 5 things that we could do, Charles, 3 or 5 things that we could do, Maurice, in order to change the trajectory of our community?
So you, Charles?
I think the first thing we got to do is definitely arm ourselves physically. We have to make sure that our house and that our families are protected and that we're unified and we're connected with one another. I think we need to start taking away some of these stigmas that we have with one another and say, hey, now is our time to build together. I might not necessarily like everything about you, but I need you, right? And we need each other. So let's build this circle the way that we need to build it. And let's agree where we can agree and disagree where we have to disagree at and leave it at that. After we do that, then I think we need to that will start the process of being able to build ourselves economically and socially, right? Because now we have a base, we have something to work off to say, hey, we agree that we need to protect ourselves collectively. If my house is protected and your house is not, my house is next. So that's a problem, right? So we got to get to that place where I'm not going to leave you stranded, but brother, don't leave me stranded. I need to be able to trust you the way that, and you need to be able to trust me. Right. Yeah. And then after that, we need to start talking, really have these conversations about our economic stability, our economic structure, and how we can empower ourselves to do more. I don't want to say necessarily break away from the system completely, but own our piece of the system the way we need to.
That's good. All right, Brother Maurice, what do you think?
I'm thinking that everything what the brother said is right on point. Unity. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad says our unity is more powerful than an atomic bomb. We just got to get together. We got to stop thinking the big eyes, little U's. We got to come together as one and really get on the same page. I look at some of the brothers that be speaking online about staying on code with one another. We got to stay on code with one another. It's always one of us that goes off and a group that thinks they know more or they're a little smarter than this and that. But once we stay on code and we move as a unit and do what's best for us, then we can get over whatever hump and whatever obstacles in our way. We got to stop acting like house niggas. It's a lot of house niggas and coonery that's going on. Yeah. I'm looking at some of the comments right now about the NFAC and whatnot. I've seen video of a brother from NFAC doing security for Trump. I mean, you can't take people that when the enemy sits people in front of you and tells you that's the person that you need to follow, that's the person you need to start to question that. Whenever they don't allow nobody, especially people that's been oppressing us, to pick our leaders for us. And that's what's been going on. You know what I mean? So once we start to look at things with some more insight and can determine and discern some stuff, then we can move forward. But right now, we got Negroes walking around thinking they Democrats and Republicans still, and we'll sit there and cry and fight you over if you say something positive about Trump. You're not saying that you love Trump. Say I agree with just that one part of what he did.
You can't agree with that.
Then you're the biggest house nigga ever.
You know what I'm saying? Ice Cube.
Right. These Negroes talking about they're gonna cancel Ice Cube. Why? Because he went to both parties and said, what are you going to do for black people? Right. And the only thing that most Negro-minded people saw was, oh, you talking to them. Right, they got you so trained like circus animals that you automatically think you a Democrat. When we know the brother Charles just touched on it, the Democrats was for slavery back then. The Democrats is what the Ku Klux Klan came up out of. These are Democrats. These are the people that bombed the church for the 4 little girls. These are the same party. Come on, let's just keep it real, man. I was thinking right now, Constance, you might not want me on here because I'm gonna say some stuff.
No, that's I was in Puerto Vallarta, and they might be watching, but I was in Puerto Vallarta last month and with a lot of well-to-do Black folks, and that conversation came up. And needless to say, I was not the most popular person at the dinner table because they was like, "You acted like you Ice Cube's girlfriend," and I think I called them plantation Negroes or something. It got really bad up in there. But I was like, how are you mad at a Black person that's trying to help Black people? It just didn't. It don't make no sense. Oh, it's bad timing for who? You got to call people on the carpet and bring them to the table and say, what are you going to do? When Diddy said, make them people work for our vote, make the Democrats work for our vote, motherfuckers got mad at Diddy.
Got mad.
What do you mean? When Boyce Watkins talks about, make them work for they get mad. A lot of people didn't cancel Boyce.
Yeah, they did.
Speaking the truth.
Tariq Nasheed.
Listen, what's the name? Biden got on Breakfast Club and said, "You ain't black if you don't vote for him," because they automatically think they got your black ass.
And
see the
audacity
mindset
that, though,
we
right?
have. The mindset that we have, they can put somebody in front of you, and since when does Cardi B speak for the masses of our people? Since when do we think that? Oh, okay, because what's the sister that's just made the vice president?
Oh, Kamala.
Okay, because she wore some Timberlands. That's what you base your whole vote on.
Yeah,
she got some Converse on. Come on,
do.
what's the policy that she's pushing?
Right.
If you can't think like that, we can't. We done did that before, going off of skin color and this what we gonna do right here. And one of the first things that Joe Biden said he's gonna do when he gets in his first 100 days of office was do something for the LGBTQ community.
That's
Period.
right.
Nothing about black people. Nothing.
Yep. That's
then
right.
Then there's a tape of a meeting he was having. He was talking to the so-called black leadership like they was children in that damn meeting. But this is your guy, though.
But he is the one that said that these black people couldn't be reformed. He said they're animals. He said when they hit your mom upside the head, they can't be reformed. But a lot of our people forget him. You can't even forgive your uncle for going bad as you last Christmas. But you forget this fool. Come on, man. Let's stop that. Yeah. So you were gonna say something?
No, I was agreeing.
No, so that's the reason why it is so important for our communities. In order to build our communities, it has to be a holistic approach. It can't just be about finances. Economics is the foundation of it. So we got to get our credit right. We got to get our financials right. We got to create our wealth plan. We got to establish our legacy. We also have to get our unity together. You know, that African proverb that I always love to quote, it says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, we have to go together. And we need each other to survive. We can't do it by ourselves. So we have to come together in unity so that we can push the agenda. But like you said, we all got to be on one accord. You know, all these militias, they have a goal. You know, they're
serious about it. They are serious. When you see these,
everybody falling in line. You know, just like if you a gangbanger, you know, they got that leader in the gang, everybody falling in line. But when it comes to something positive in our community, how come we all can't fall in line? Why are black people
with those other people, with Caucasians, the white groups, when one of them go off a code and they step out of line, they handle that in-house.
Yeah.
They get at their person in-house. With us, when one of us go off code, get off line, we publicly chastise them. Cancel culture. Oh, cancel him because he said, how dare he say, I think I seen a comment right now, Butter Biscuits. How dare Ice Cube tell Biden he want to meet with them? Who is now all of a sudden he's a rapper now. You're just a rapper. That's just like that white woman telling LeBron James, shut up and dribble. But we're doing it to ourselves.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
We got to get out of that. We got to get out of that habit of self-hate. I just call it what it is.
It's been ingrained in us. But you know, it comes at us from all different directions. You know, it's in our music. You know, the only type of music that they really push out is the ones where we're degrading ourselves. You know, on these platforms, social media platforms, we can't say anything anti-Semitic at all. If we do, they will take it off the air and they will ban us, right?
I'm in jail every other day.
But we could say nigga all day. We could talk about killing each other. We could do think about that. But you say anything against that group of people, your whole shit gets shut down.
Yeah.
Look at the song WAP.
Man.
Look at the song WAP. And Apple was actively promoting this, and I think they just gave her Woman of the Year. But this is and I'm an older guy now, so I really don't listen to the radio. But I know a lot of 12-year-olds and 11-year-olds that listen to the radio and probably know that song word for word because that's what's being pushed to them.
Yeah.
WAP. Come on, man.
Yeah. That's right. So we have to definitely, you know, change the things that we listen to, change the things that come into our minds. I don't even like looking at CNN because everything is so biased. Like you can't even get unbiased news anymore. You know, if I'll go to Fox News and see what the hell they talking about because they crazy as hell. Then I'll go over CNN, which is really supposed to be unbiased, but they crazy as hell. So there's nothing, everything that we're looking at has its own narrative of whichever way they want you to swing. And so we really have to start, number one, like platforms like this, having our own voice, you know, giving out our own information so that we can educate people. But, you know, that community is everything. So we really arm and protect yourself. How do you arm and protect? Because you guys are both gun owners. What did you have to do in order to arm yourself? Because some people don't know.
Well, for me in California, it's pretty simple. You go take if you don't have any felonies, you go down to the gun place. You take the little written test that just says basically you understand how to handle a gun. You purchase your gun, you give them your ID, they register you, and then within a few weeks or so, you get your gun. That's all I had to do. So it was really, really simple. I didn't have to go shoot at no range. I don't believe none of that. I did all that when I had to go get my my different licenses and stuff like that. But other than that, it was really, really simple.
Mm-hmm.
And crazy because I just came from Nevada. Nevada's even easier. So you just go out there, get your gun pretty much. You don't really have to do a whole lot. They just, you know, same process, but just really, really simple in most places. So
listen, we need to start arming ourselves, not so that we can go out there and start shooting people, but we need to be able to protect our families. We need to be able to protect our children. You know, somebody come up, roll up in your house.
And I think the reason why this is important, this statement right here is important, is because you have to think about it. They never went after the strongest of us. They always went after the weakest of us, right? Or who the perceived weakest of us were. Mm-hmm. So they never went after the cat who they knew had 10 guns in the house. Whenever somebody shot back, they ran, right? That was the basic premise of what they did on an ongoing basis. So don't be that one weak link or that one person who's out there caught lacking, really, for lack of better terms. Don't get caught lacking. Don't be the one who doesn't have it and let them catch you slipping. Mm-hmm. You can't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to your family. You know, even if you just got one gun, get a gun in your house.
Self-preservation. Preserve your family. I'm a convicted felon, so I can't have a gun.
So, and we'll leave it at that.
Just know I'm protected, though. I'm protected. And you need to protect yourself and protect your family because they're not playing fair. I just seen in the comments somebody said you get an extra 15 years. Man, you being a black man and woman here in the United States of America already, you in prison mentally. Mm. So you got to stop thinking like that. Stop being scary. Stop being that little youngster in the Nat Turner movie that told on Nat Turner. Don't be that guy. You know what I'm saying? Be a soldier. We come from Kings and Queens. Be soldiers, man.
Yeah, and there's workarounds though. When you think about it, like if you got multiple people in your household and everybody ain't got a felony,
exactly.
Go get the person who don't have the felony to go get the gun. Exactly. And then the gun is in the house. It ain't with you. It ain't on you. It ain't on your person. It's not your gun. It's in your house, and it's for the protection of your family. I think for not assault rifle, but rifles in general, they're even easier to get than handguns. So yeah, you can literally. So go get you a rifle. Go get something to make sure that your house and your family is always protected. That's
for rifles. You got to be 18. So it's the age even goes down lower to 18.
So if somebody come up in your house, guys, turning the cheek ain't gonna work.
Not at all.
If somebody come up in your house, y'all, going to get a knife ain't gonna work. Maurice said they're not gonna play fair.
They're not playing fair.
You cannot take the chance, especially if you have a family. So brothers, sisters, everybody, you know, I got a girlfriend. She's so cute. She said she got about 5 boys. She said, I keep a pistol under my pillow. I'm like, well, damn, you a cold piece. Absolutely. She said, I got a little 20. We got several around the house. I got my 22 underneath my pillow. It's not a game up in the streets. And you got to do what you got to do for your family. And so that's what this broadcast was really about tonight, you guys, was just saying, hey, listen, they're out there. The 3%ers ain't the only ones. The Proud Boys is out there.
Right.
KK is out. They all are out there, and they are gathering, and they are organizing.
Yes.
They're saying, listen, it's not just anti-government, it's anti-you.
Right.
Yeah. And like I said, you got to remember, do your research. the KKK started out with the very same philosophy. The
Mhm.
very same philosophy. There has not been one hate group that hasn't started that way. And if you think I'm lying to you, GTS it.
Google that shit. Y'all,
That's right.
brothers, you guys were absolutely. We have thousands and thousands of people that are on tonight, because and rightfully so, because this is such an important topic, guys. We just want you to be safe and protect yourself. We want you to be safe mentally, physically, spiritually, financially, in all ways. We have to build our communities. The system was not designed for us to thrive. It was designed for us to fail, and it was designed, like Charles said, for us to be the underdog. But we have access to so much right now. We got access to things, to mechanisms that can protect us. We got access to things that can help us create our wealth. We have access to everything. And so you just take advantage of the opportunities. GTS, like Charles said, Google that shit. Everything that you need is out there on the internet at your fingertips.
Right.
We have more power and more technology in the power of our hands than they had when they put the man on the moon. So you have the information right there at the palm of your fingertips. All you got to do is out there. So guys, I'm gonna be doing a Q&A tomorrow. Make sure you go to Constance Carter VIP to go to the Q&A to subscribe, because I want to have some one-on-one conversations with you about what you could do to really enhance your community, because that's what I'm about. In every single way, holistically, we're going to talk about Black love. We're going to talk about Black families. We're going to talk about how you can protect yourself. We're going to talk about how you can create your wealth. We're going to talk about how you can build your credit. Everything goes in that, and that's hand in hand. And I'm going to always bring some intelligent brothers like I did today, and sisters, on here so that we can have those conversations. So thank you again, guys. Thank you for joining us. And we're going to let you go until tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Tune in, because we're going to give you some information that you can use.
Yeah, it's CC, CEO. Wanna change your life? Come see me, yo. I'ma teach you how to build up wealth for your family, not just for yourself. I'm a bestseller, a house flipper, a businesswoman, a go-getter, a big investor, a goal builder. I can teach you to get richer like millions, baby.